This is Vince Russo's The Brand.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is I, the Kingpin, King of the Streets, and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Tragedy, episode 70, along with my best bud, my side compadre, Pierce Austin. He has better verbiage than I do. He always gives a little more color, but I don't have that golden tongue like he does.
It's the Pierce, accent. It's the accent, bro. That's what it is. It's just the accent.
You know what's funny about Australians and English people? You could be most stupid. I mean, I'm just saying, you could be the most stupidest person on the planet, but since you have the accent, you make everything sound intelligent. And people,
I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that.
I think so, man. Sometimes the language make it a little bit. It's like Hispanics, like, oh, the language of love. You know, they could talk about, with the Spanish accent. Oh, they got the language of love. You could talk the most shittiest thing, and they'd be like, oh, that accent. Ricardo Montalban, by Corinthian leather. But well, hey, Pierce. Before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to one of the great legends out there. Brian Knobs, he's in the hospital. So, Wrestling with Tragedy wants to make sure that, he gets well soon, for full recovery, great legend, very funny, so just our prayers to him and his family, get well soon, Brian Knobs.
Absolutely. One of the greatest tag teams, the Nasty Boys in wrestling history. It's really sad to hear about his health, and we really hope that he kicks out at 2, makes a comeback, and gets that shine again like only he can. So, best wishes to Brian Knobs and his family in this time. So from me and Angel, all the best, buddy. But
Absolutely.
Before we get into it, you want to thank some sponsors, Angel? Because
that's what I was pointing at you. I was pointing at you about that. Let's get it going. Guess what? Where is it? Guess what I got here?
Your smart cups, baby.
That's right, baby. That's what I got in this, in my little shaker thing, little smart cups gimmick. That's why I'm full of energy, full of spice, and really nice. See, I'm doing a little Pierce Austin gimmick right there.
Hey, man, you got to learn to rhyme, bro. I got my rhyming because I just watched a lot of Joel Gertner and ECW days. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I couldn't get onto that level like the Silver Tongue legend that he is. No pun intended. But yeah, huge shout out to smartcups.com. Amazing product, all natural, no preservatives. Angel, someone like yourself who just gave up drinking coffee a few months ago, bro, to try a different health style, and this is something that has no nasty effect afterwards. Like me myself, I cut out all energy drinks, bro. My smart cups, I have one every morning just to get the day started right, and it, man, it keeps me going all day long, all day.
Absolutely, man. Everything I do is all natural, no preservatives. I'm really got paranoid in regards to, putting these toxins in my body. So now that I'm using Smart Cups, definitely that's the alternative for me. If you definitely want to get your vitamins, not vitamins, but, your boost of energy, definitely grab some Smart Cups. Tell them the Kingpin sent you, tell them it's Kingpin approved. And our next sponsor?
Our next sponsor, let's go into it, is the Wrestling Universe. So the Wrestling Universe is your one-stop shop for all your pro wrestling needs. Guys, they've got, WWE, TNA, WWE, AEW, TNA, UFC, ECW, action figures, past, present. They've also got T-shirts, wrestling masks, autographed 8x10s, belts, and much more. And also, Angel, they do in-store signings. So if you're in Queens, New York, you can go and see some of the biggest names in the wrestling business and, go get an autograph. And also, guys, all of their autographed items come with a certificate of authenticity. So that shit is 100% 100% legit. So make sure you get on it. But if you're like me and you live on the other side of the world, guys, they ship internationally, so they got you covered on every and all aspect, guys. So head over to thewrestlinguniverse.com. If you ain't in Queens, New York, you can go to thewrestlinguniverse.com. You can make your purchase online. Guys, it is so easy. I sent a buddy of mine a couple of autographed 8x10s, and he got them really quick. He was really happy, and he was really stoked, and I made his day. So I'm a great friend, and Wrestling Universe delivered on all aspects.
Absolutely. So if you want to impress your friends, you definitely want to show them your collection of wrestling memorabilia, definitely hit up the wrestlinguniverse.com because they have all your wrestling needs. I'm telling you, you won't go wrong when you add those stuff to your collection. wrestlinguniverse.com.
Absolutely,
approve
but
it.
that's Kingpin approved, and that's from the ECW original, the Kingpin Angel motherfucking Medina. But Angel, tonight or today for you, we're covering off a story we just recently saw on August 4th, the passing of one of who's been labeled one of the nicest guys in pro wrestling ever, beautiful Bobby Eaton. We're going to go through his history, and also about his passing and leading up to that as well. But beautiful Bobby was a guy who spent a little bit of time in ECW. Angel,
Yeah,
were you in ECW when he was coming through there then?
absolutely. Once again, known as Robert Lee, Eaton, one of the greatest tag team technicians out there. He came to ECW to work with us, really to work with C.W. Anderson in an angle. But when I confronted him, the most humblest, the most, I hate saying the word sweet because, in wrestling, you're not a sweet guy, but the
Yeah.
guy was the most, I can't even put the right words to it, but he gave out this aura of like, man, this is the most coolest guy, very humble, very intelligent, and very caring. I mean, just gave a lot of knowledge. When you walked in the room, his presence just glowed, and
Yeah.
I watched him when I was a kid, when he was, with the Midnight Express. I watched him with his many battles with the Rock and Roll Express, the Fantastics, the Road Warriors. This guy was a technician. I mean, things that he did in the ring was just beyond the 80s, like he was just an innovator of technique, So I'm
Dude,
just very proud that I met him.
Dude, I just watched Starcade 86 where they had the scaffold match with the Legion of Doom, and
Oh yeah, I
man,
would have
like
shit myself.
dude, like a scaffold match in WCW at that stage, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like in the realm of like craziness of wrestling. And when you're going up that high on a scaffold, and that scaffold didn't really look too too stable, man. But when you've got talent like the Midnight Express in there with the Legion of Doom, you chuck in the flavor of a Jim Cornette. It's going to only add to the magic. But looking at beautiful Bobby, man, this is a guy who debuted in 1976 at the age of 17. Now, Angel, like, you started training the first time you walked into Johnny Rod's school. You started training at the age of 17. He debuted at 17. So I'm not too sure. I tried to find out when he started training, but like, he debuted at the age of 17, and stepping into the land of the wolves in pro wrestling back in 1976, where kayfabe was like rampant and running. Like, everyone believed that pro wrestling was 100% a shoot. And for a 17-year-old to step into that and have a career as long as he did, that is truly amazing.
But you got to think about it, man. He was trained by Tojo Yakamoto, one of the greatest Japanese pro wrestlers out there. I mean, a lot of people might not know him, but if you're again a wrestling enthusiast, you live off wrestling, then you know who Tojo Yakamoto is. I mean, he got trained by this individual. He, like you said, he made his debut at 17. I got into the business of training at 17, so he was already ahead of the game way before me. I mean, he was before me. I was born in 72, but still, man, the guy just was out there grinding and just performing like incredible. I mean, a legend.
Dude, and you mentioned him being a tag team specialist. In 1978, his tag team partner was Lanny Poffo, and we all know who Lanny is, brother of Macho Man. And in 1978, teaming with him. Then later on in his career, going on to the Midnight Express. But I don't want to sort of go too far into it just straight off the bat. But what were some of your earliest memories of watching beautiful Bobby in the ring?
Brother, I mean, I don't even have to close my eyes, but if I did, I could still remember those massive, those like matches with the Fantastics. It was just how smooth he was. He was not a great talker. He didn't have the chops to cut a good promo, but which doesn't matter because his skill in the ring, his performance outshined, what he couldn't do as a talker. So it's just the way he punched, the way he moved, the way he dropped that leg drop off the top rope. Those are the things, because again, he was not a ripped muscular individual. He was, and I'm not saying he was fat. He just had that normal physique. So when
Yeah.
he was doing those type of maneuvers in the ring, that really like threw me off because he was such a very non-athletic look body. And I hate saying that because it sounds like I'm being disrespectful, but it's not. He
No,
was
no,
just
no.
Joe. So
Yeah.
that was very impressive. So like I said, his matches were just bar none, top notch classics. I have not seen one that was just like that match was the shits. I mean, again,
Same.
whoever he was tagging with was just complimented that other individual to another level.
But he also had like some really like a decent like singles run as well. Like for me, like I'm probably about 10 years younger than you, Angel. So my earliest memory, and also growing up in another country where wrestling wasn't as easily accessible in the early 90s and late 80s. You know what I mean? Like it was accessible, but like you had to really go and find it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
My earliest memory was seeing him part of the Dangerous Alliance, to be honest. And obviously as I got older and became a wrestling enthusiast, I've gone back and I've researched and I've watched a lot of great matches, because obviously being friends with someone like yourself, Angel, quite often you'll throw a spanner at me and go, "Hey, have you seen this match?" No, I haven't. Go and watch it. Go and find it. And that's what I enjoy about our friendship, besides being a friend of yours, but also being able to get that knowledge and that history of things that I didn't even know to go and check out. And then I can go and check it out and sit there and go, fuck. And then I go down the rabbit hole of finding more and more shit where you direct me to. So at times it can be like, my wife hates you.
Yeah. But you know what's funny? It's not okay. When you were talking about you saw him in his singles matches and stuff like that, he was still great doing that. It's just like a perfect example. If you get a great hamburger, you're like, man, this is a good burger. But when you put cheese on it, you're like, oh my God, this is a great burger. So even in the singles matches, it still was fabulous. It's just the what's ingrained in my brain is just I remember most of his tag team battles. But again, the Dangerous Alliance, him just like Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, great tag team, but separate, they're still awesome. It's just combined together, they became great. Remember, great, awesome. It's just still the same thing, but it just took it a different level. And that's why I just love the tag team. Oh, you on mute, brother.
My apologies. What I was saying is, I think that with tag team wrestling, to be a successful tag team, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because, I'm not a trained wrestler. I've never had a match. But the way that I view tag team wrestling is, in order to be a really good tag team, you have to have really like two really good like wrestlers, like overall wrestlers, that when you bring the team together, they complement each other and everything can fall into place, if that makes sense. That's just, like the chemistry. But I'm a strong believer is a great tag team has to have two guys that are amazing workers.
Yeah, and that's what I agree. I mean, for example, the Dudleys, great chemistry. The Steiners, even though they were brothers, great chemistry. The Baldies, I mean, me and DeVito had great chemistry, but when I wrestled, and again, I'm not knocking them, me and Vic Grimes didn't have that click. We didn't bounce off each other. When me and DeVito was in there, we didn't have to say nothing. It's just the feeling. It just clicked. He knew what I was going to do. That he was always a step ahead of me, and I was always a step ahead of him, and I knew what was going to happen, and I followed his style and behind him. So we just merged together as one unit. So sometimes you have to have that chemistry to flow with your tag team partner to make it look like, wow, these guys are in sync.
And he was part of the Midnight Express, and he was part of the third incarnation of the Midnight Express. Again, correct me if I'm wrong there, but I believe it was the third incarnation.
I thought it was the second incarnation, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'll double check that in a second. But he was with Loverboy Dennis Condrey, and those guys joined up from 83 to about 87.
Then Stan Lane.
And then after 87, he was with Stan Lane.
See, that's all I remember.
Yeah, then in 1990, the Midnight Express, they broke up Eaton and Lane.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Dennis Condrey, he left, I believe he left the promotion, and that's, I don't know, like there was something about there, like Condrey left.
To me, the Midnight Express was always Stan, beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan Lane. I mean, the Condry guy, again, I'm not knocking the guy. I seen some, like, once again, when I was first introduced to the Midnight Express with Stan Lane. When I seen matches with Condry, to me, I was like, it sucked because I was already used to that tag team. It's almost like watching
The Condry was before Stan Lane.
That's correct.
Oh,
But
yeah,
you know what
sorry.
I mean? But since I only saw when I got into wrestling mentally, seeing it on TV, it was Beautiful Bobby and Stan Lane. So it was going, I mean, it's backwards. It's just like when you
Yeah.
watch the Road Warriors and then when Hawk left, they put him with Heinrich, right? Heinrich?
Heidenreich, yeah.
Heinrich.
That
And
was
then
a
you're like,
few
oh, this
weird
stuff.
incarnations.
Yeah. And then that's the same thing. But mine was reversed because I was introduced to Stan Lane first. And then it was just the opposite. I just didn't see the match. I'm not saying he was a great wrestler. It's just that they were better.
Yeah, no, like they had a better connection. Is that
To
what
me,
you're saying? Like, yeah,
the better connection, the better flow. I just like their style.
yeah. I mean, like, dude, the tag teams that he was a part of, he teamed like, Beautiful Bobby Eaton teamed with Benoit in the early '90s in WCW before Benoit went back to Japan. He teamed with the Blue Bloods as well with Lord Steven Regal.
Great chemistry.
Yeah,
Now you're making me look for the third tag team partner. Now I'm looking around for it. So bear with me. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah, no, and and then even I think what you're thinking of his other one was Bad Attitude with Steve Kern, because that was just after Benoit went back to Japan. He got in with Steve Kern and him were partnered up.
Dennis Connery and Randy Rose in South Championship Wrestling in '81. They were joined by Nova Austin. So yeah, I guess there was a. When was the Midnight Express formed with Connery and with
83,
Bobby?
83.
So there was a third. Yeah, there was one before that. So it was Randy Rose. That's the guy's name.
Don't ever question my knowledge, bro. You know I do my homework before we do this.
I agree, but that is way like that's something I would have not known because again,
it's okay, Angel. Tell me you're impressed. I know.
I'm impressed, man. Southeast Championship Wrestling. All right, there you go. A little wrestling trivia there. 3 Midnight Express.
But getting into it, Bobby, like as far as the personal life, I just want to touch on this. So Bobby married Donna Dundee. And now for our audience who may be a little bit younger and might not know the name Dundee, Donna Dundee was the daughter of Bill Dundee. And when they got together, Bobby and Donna kept their entire relationship a secret because Bill had forbidden his daughter to date any wrestler that he was booking. Now,
correct.
Like, as professionalism, I can get it. It's not like he was saying, hey, you can't date wrestlers. But, before we get into this, like,
I disagree with that
one. well, let me just say this. Like, Bill Dundee had forbidden it, but he relented when he found out that she was dating Beautiful Bobby because he was such a nice guy. And again, in the wrestling business during that time, you have to sit there and go,
okay,
damn.
Let me give you a little wrestling insight. And I know you know, but you still don't know. The reason why the boys don't want you to date their daughters because we're a bunch of whores. And he's seen, and Bill Dundee, I'm not making fun of him. He was with the boys. He's seen the things, the drugs, the sex, the rock, living the rock and roll lifestyle. So
especially
he didn't, ooh, almost spilled my drink. But, especially that time. And, your baby girl, I don't want you dating a wrestler. But when he found out secretly that he was dating, you're right, Bobby Eaton, he was like, that's a fucking nice guy, because he probably didn't show he didn't live the lifestyle properly. He didn't did the drugs. He didn't party. So he was like, man, this is a fucking different. He was out of his element basically because he's so used to the boys doing the shenanigans. So that's why he gave it his blessing. He was like, fuck it. Can't get any worse.
Would you ever let your daughter date one of the boys? Like obviously your daughter's like a lot younger than what she is, but like, let's say for example, in 10 years time, she brings home, a guy and says, oh, Dad, my boyfriend's a wrestler.
To be honest, due to the fact that of the past, how wrestlers are, but compared to how wrestlers are today, my mindset was be still stuck in the past, and I'll say no. But the current wrestlers, they're different nowadays. So again, I would still say no. You know, so
Yeah,
no.
fair enough. But also knowing what your daughter's like, she'd probably say, "Dad, I'm going to do it anyway," and walk out the door.
But regardless if it's pro wrestling, it's like any sport. If you're a rugby player, a football player, soccer player, uh, um, or
100%.
football, you're out on the road, you're around fans, beautiful women throwing themselves at you. It's hard to resist. Yeah, you do have you could resist, but it's hard to resist when you have that type of attention.
And the business in itself as well back then, which it was, is like there was plenty of and I hate using this term in this day and age, but rats were always around. You know what I mean? That all the gimmicks were always on offer. The alcohol was always on offer. You know what I mean? Like, and these guys were these larger than life stars. That stuff was basically just like, here we go. Would you like one of these?
I mean,
like one of
these? Like I said,
in your time.
Yeah, and Stan Lane, I mean, I heard stories and read articles about women that was just like the guy was just constantly with women. I mean, he was a very good looking guy, got pussy out the door, but it's just like I said, he in that time when it was thrown at you, and think about it, Pierce. When you have like 7 pies in front of you, you're like, it's hard to resist, brother. You got blueberry, you got apple, you got peach, you got German, German streusel, whatever you want, an apple pie. You can be like, oh, I don't know, I'm on a diet, but I gotta get a taste. If they put it in your face like this too.
But that's the thing, man. We speak to a lot of guys in the wrestling business, and and a lot of people have told me, man, Bobby was such a great guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we speak to Alan, and it's like Alan's like can't put him over enough. Like, Alan, spent some time with him down in the power plant. Because Bobby was down there trying to teach these guys. He was trying to pass on that knowledge, which again shows the mindset that he had, which is like, if you don't prepare the next guys in line in the business, there's not going to be a business. And it's almost like, and I don't want to get off topic here, but it's almost similar to like Terry Funk's mentality, right? Like, I have to give back to the business, otherwise there is no business for the future generations.
Correct. Absolutely.
And if there was more wrestlers like that, like back then, I think that, I don't know, man. Like, it's hard to say if there was more wrestlers like that now, because I think the wrestling business has evolved over the last, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. It's a completely different product now.
Way totally different product, man. It's like comparing apples and oranges, different levels of champagne, quality versus quantity, I mean, it's just different nowadays. And again, with social media, you can't do the things that you did now that you could do back then, because you have camera phones and stuff like that, a lot of recording, so you have to be careful. So that's why it's changing. That's why you can't do the same thing.
One of the things I was like, that really stood out to me, and I believe it was I think it was either Mick Foley or Stone Cold Steve Austin, but they said that Bobby, whenever he traveled with an extra bag, and it would be like toiletries. So toothbrush, toothpaste, extra toothbrushes, toothpaste, towels, deodorant, razors, essentials that you need. So if one of the boys didn't but he carried an extra bag with extra stuff. So if the boys needed it, if someone ran out, he's like, hey, brother, I got you. Here's a towel. Here's a razor. Here's a toothbrush. Here's a deodorant. After whatever it is, for someone to start thinking like that, which is like, to take care of your co-workers, to take care of guys that you're going up and down the road with, like, is there any real, like, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that Bill Dundee would have found out and said, you know what, this guy, Bobby, is someone who is completely different in the wrestling business. You know what I mean? Like, in a business which has been notorious for being, you know what I mean? Like, people that sort of, cut other people's legs out from underneath them, involved in years prior. I've never cut anyone's leg. Fuck you, fucking asshole. But to have that mentality of person to go to that level, you really have to appreciate, like not even like as a wrestler, but as a human being, dude. Like that's pretty big.
I was gonna make a joke when you're like, "Oh, you cut somebody's legs from under me," like you cursing me out. And I said, "Well, that's why there's only two of us now." But anyway,
I did not. Don't say that.
That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. But anyway, it gets me in trouble. But again, back to Bobby Eaton, man. I mean, you're right. I mean, that shows how classy he was. When you prepare for the other boys, I mean, I wouldn't do it. That never came across my mind, but he thought ahead, and that's how caring he was. Shit, man. If Bobby gave me a stick of deodorant, I wouldn't even not use it. I would have like, "Ooh, can you sign this for me?" And put it in the like, "This is the deodorant Bobby Eaton gave me."
Yeah, I mean, it's just sad, like, to think of like, because like at 63 years of age, man, like he's passing, which they still don't know the reason for his passing either. Like there's been no cause of death which has been announced.
Well, I mean, the man had a heart attack in 2006, and he had some type of I remember it was not that long ago that he kind of like was lost. I want to say in the airport, like he got lost and they couldn't find him, and they had to like, they were really looking for him because he like kind of not lost his mind, but just didn't know where he was at. He disappeared, but they did find him. So he had a lot of medical issues that, and I'm not saying he wasn't taking care of himself because I don't know his personal life, but I know he didn't have a drug issue. It's just he had medical conditions that was beyond his control. So he was probably getting like taken care of by a doctor, but still his health was still declining. So,
well, one of the other things was his wife Donna. She passed away in June 26th of this year. At 57 years of age of breast cancer. And one of my other shows that I used to do live, she actually popped in and put some comments in, and started commenting on it. And then one of the people that we work with went and thanked her for tuning in. And then that's where the sort of thing came across saying, "Yeah, I married beautiful Bobby Eaton, and I'm daughter of Bill." And we were like, "Holy shit!" You know what I mean? Like, she stumbled across our show.
What show was it, and what was the episode about?
I think it was a 2020 wrestling, one of Christie's old shows. But yeah, she came across it, and was very, very lovely. Christy had some conversations with Donna and everything like that, and just an amazing human being. For just very humble, very nice of her to stop in and have that chat with us. And Bobby passed, what was it, August 4th, 2021. But a month prior to his passing, he had a fall where he broke his hip and several of his fingers. His daughter, Taryn, had moved in with him to sort of care for him and look after him, But let me ask you this, because the passing of his wife and then his passing, like less than 2 months apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it could have been, and I don't want to say died of a broken heart, but do you think that the trauma of losing his wife, his ride or die, the one that's been with him since day one, do you think that paid a tribute to it, where his health, like, I don't want to say like he gave up, because I didn't know him. I wasn't around him, but do you think that really impacted him mentally, and like he stopped caring for himself in a certain way?
Well, absolutely. Again, I'm not speaking for him, but seeing from other people who lost a loved one, where you have that connection, and I mean, when you're like you and your wife, if you've been with each other, regardless of how many years, but let's just push the time forward. Let's say your kids are out of the house and you've been with her for say 55 years, and you live, breathe, drink, whatever around her. Then when she's gone, all the kids are gone, and you're alone in the house. You feel you have this empty void. Either you overcome it and push forward and live a luxurious life, or it consumes you because your heart is broken. So it just depends on the individual. That, again, it's not about the connection. It's just you overcoming that pain. So a lot of people don't overcome that pain because you miss your partner, your ride or die partner, who sleeps in the bed with you, who knows you, your tics, and knows what you like to eat, and everything knows about you. And then that person's gone. You feel like you don't have anybody. So, and I know you have your kids, and I have my daughter, but once they're out the house, you feel like, yeah, I don't want to bother them. They have their own life to live, and I know they will welcome me with open arms, but still, that's still not the same thing when you lose that person, if that makes sense.
And especially at 57, which is so young. His wife
That's
passed,
so young.
and even him passing at 63 is so young. You know what I mean? Like,
Now, I have a question. Now, Bill Dundee, he was supposed to be built from Australia. Was he really Australian? Because he was born in
no,
Scotland. Just curiosity.
No, I think he was billed from Australia, but I don't think he
wasn't Australian.
No, definitely wasn't Australian.
Just curious. I mean, I was just wondering because I know he was built
he was Australian. He was a Scottish-born Australian, so he was Australian. He must have been Australian background.
So he just worked the angle because he's Australian, like me being born in New York, but I'm Puerto Rican, built from Puerto Rico, but I'm not really. Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
just curious, just wondering.
Yes. So, yeah, Bill Dundee's son was a wrestler, Jamie Dundee. His daughter married Bobby, and even his Bobby's son and Bill Dundee's grandson, Dylan Eaton, wrestles as well. But yeah, as far as Australia, says that he was a Scottish-born Australian. So, but he resides in Tennessee at the moment. So I'm not too sure like what the background is on him. As far as that, I think Bill Dundee's time was probably a little bit before my time.
Yeah, a little bit before mine, but I remember he was. I never seen him wrestle. I did like old footage, but he was I want to say he was like a manager. I remember he was wearing like a derby, a black derby, played like a butler type of gimmick, but I can't remember what team he was with at the time. But anyway, but he was a good wrestler.
What's interesting is I found his daughter was like known as Donna Dundee, but his Bill Dundee's real surname was Crookshanks. Sorry. So,
crikey, Crookshank.
Crikey, and yeah, absolutely. But as far as Bobby's passing though, like, do you think like at 63 years of age, he retired from the business? I believe it was 2011 or 2015. I'm not too sure. I think it was 2015 from memory. Do you think that he could have been utilized in the business more?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the guy. I mean, he couldn't wrestle anymore because he had a pacemaker put in 2013, if I recall. So, but again, that didn't stop him from having the mental knowledge to train people. I wish they would have given him an opportunity to work for like maybe the WWE Performance Center. That guy has a lot of knowledge to give. I mean, he could have been with Impact, TNA, well, same thing, AEW. I mean, to give this man the platform to give other future stars that knowledge would have been a blessing. But again, I don't know, because maybe his health condition that didn't let him do that. Maybe he was offered those type of positions, but he couldn't do it. Again, we don't know what went on behind the scenes to see why he wasn't utilized to help other wrestlers. But again, from the outside in, I wish they would have used him if that was the case.
What I find really and we mentioned this before, but I find this interesting, is that despite being one of the nicest guys in wrestling, a majority of his career, he worked as a heel. And that just goes to show that the greatest heels in wrestling are sometimes some of the nicest people that you'll ever meet. And a lot of guys that I've met in the business that are great heels in real life, and I say in real life, but in person, they're some of the nicest human beings.
Oh, then never mind. That doesn't include me.
No.
No, I'm horrible. Yeah. I'm horrible.
Trying to get yourself over on this episode.
I always get myself over.
What a mark.
Got to put myself over all the time. Let me ask you a question. What was your favorite Bobby Eaton match? I already told you mine. I mean, it was
That's a hard one, man. Like, because I've gone back and I've had a look at some of it. I really enjoyed the scaffold match. I enjoyed his stuff as part of the Dangerous Alliance when he was the WCW television champion. I think that run was probably an underrated run for a lot of reasons. But man, like, that was just dude, I've watched a lot of Bobby Eaton over the years. It's hard to pin it down. But for me, I definitely enjoyed the scaffold match just because, you know me, I like the gimmick matches. I like the things that are a little bit like out of left field, that really test a performer. And you can really see when you put a performer in a situation like that, you really find a performer's grit, if that makes sense, like someone who can really sort of go that extra mile. And to me, watching that scaffold match, I actually watched it twice. I watched it I've watched it before, like years ago, but I watched it twice recently. And that's what I like to do when I've seen something, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch that. Then I'm like, you know what? Now I want to watch it with a more of a, like really watch it. And to me, I really enjoyed it.
And the thing is, I wish we could just show, a little sample of Bobby Eaton wrestling in that scaffold match. I don't know if we have permission to show it due to the fact that it's copyrighted by WWE, but definitely check that out. If you do go on the WWE network, they do have that match there. You can also find it on YouTube. But definitely, it's a treat, man. If you watch it, you can see the I'm trying to get the right word, but the scientific wrestling and the skills to do that type of match. But definitely, it was just a pleasure watching it. You'll learn a lot if you're a pro wrestler to pick a little bit of those nuggets that match has to give.
Yeah, like I remember when he joined the Dangerous Alliance, he came out and he assisted Rick Rude, I believe, in some sort of match, and he helped Rick Rude win a match. And I think, for memory, that was one of the first times I saw beautiful Bobby Eaton, when I was like 9 or 10 years old. Like I came across it somehow, and I saw that, and I was just like, whoa. This guy looks different. This guy looks different. He looks like someone who, like you said, it isn't a body guy. You know what I mean? Like that to me is always where, like, I've always gone and drawn to those sort of performers. Like a beautiful Bobby, someone who isn't necessarily jacked up and shredded to the gills, but you see someone who, like they almost look like they could be your best friend's dad almost, or your best friend's uncle. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that, like the beer belly or anything like that. Like he was in shape, but he wasn't a body guy.
That's called ring shape. That's all he was. He was in great ring shape, but he just now had the physical attributes of like a bodybuilder type of look, like a Lex Luger or the Road
Warriors. The thing. You put someone like a Lord Steven Regal or William Regal, again, not a body guy. Like he didn't have like, you know what I mean? But in saying that, he was probably one of the best technicians that the business had seen at that time. And I'm a huge Regal mark, so I'm going to go out and say like Regal's probably, one of the best technicians of all time. In my opinion, I think he's really good. And I put the same thing with beautiful Bobby there as well.
Now, just to let you know, one good match, if you ever want to see Bobby Eaton wrestle in a singles match, definitely watch a WCW match when he wrestled Stunning Steve Austin before he was Stone Cold. Great match, great ring work. Just made a lot of sense. Drop my stuff. It was just poetry in motion. So if you definitely want to see something in regards to beautiful Bobby singles matches, to me, I recommend Stunning Steve Austin and Bobby Eaton. WCW. Don't know what year it was, but I remember that match.
I'm just trying to think, like, did Bobby Eaton drop the TV title to Austin? Like, I'm trying to remember back that far. He did. I just looked it up.
I don't know if it was that match. Yeah, but regardless, just you need to watch it. But yeah, it's still a hell of a match.
Oh, absolutely, man. But as far as like the passing of him, like he'd taken a fall, injured himself a month prior. I'm just trying to think, and the reason why I said like his wife dying, in June, and then him having a fall in July, and then August. And this is just speculation. Like I'm throwing it out there. Was he not eating correctly? Was he not, needing to take certain medications that he wasn't taking? Like, do you think that? Because to me, like his wife dying and then him dying less than 2 months later, I go back to, did he stop giving a fuck? Did he stop caring about life?
And that's a very difficult thing to pinpoint because again, we don't know what was going through his mind. It's almost the same thing. Like I'm bringing up Robin Williams. You know, he had an ailment. Nobody knew. I mean, they knew he was sick after the fact, but you don't know what was going through his mind. The fear, the or the loneliness. I'm not saying the guy was lonely. I'm just speculating. I'm just making that up.
Mm.
But again, you do not know what goes through a person's mind and how they're suffering. So again, well, you know, yeah, he was not in great health. Yeah, he was a little bit slow. But again, guy had a pacemaker. He had a heart attack in 2006. He had a pacemaker put in at the time in 2013. His body was, I mean, don't know what kind of medication was. You know, medication affects you in many different ways. So again, we don't know what medication he was on that might have affected him a little bit. You know, on his
He
health.
didn't have a heart attack in 2006. He didn't. He released a statement saying that he didn't have a heart attack, but it was diagnosed with high blood pressure and a hint of diabetes. And after that, he
Okay,
did suffer from several health issues. From cardiac issues, which saw him hospitalized many times. And in 2013, he had a pacemaker inserted in 2013. And in July, and that's where we say on July 24th, it was reported that he suffered a fatal fall at his home in Nashville. So when you get a pacemaker put in, you've got heart problems, you've got blood pressure problems. It's safe to say, you know what I mean, maybe, and this is just allegedly putting this out there, that the fall had something to do with blood pressure medication or not take. I don't know. Like we said, we're going into things that only he would know, or people that were living with him or very close with him, like a caregiver, would be able to state. And even stating that, like, a caregiver, you know, can't force them to take tablets, can't force them to take medication. So there could be several different factors here. And right now we can only speculate.
correct. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, and again, I mean, when I was reading it, sorry, I didn't mean to say a heart attack. I just health issues and cardiac issues, and a heart attack just came out, so that was my
No,
fault. But still, it has to do with the heart. So regardless if it's a heart attack, stroke, or having, but a pacemaker is very serious because that means you have some issues with your heart. So the thing is, my grandmother had a pacemaker. She had a stroke. They put that in her. So it definitely just gives it a jolt just to keep it going. So regardless, he still had health problems in regards with his heart. But again, I mean, the guy fell, had some damage to his fingers. You know, I mean, he had a lot of health issues. So I mean, again, I don't know what was going through his mind, why his health was declining. But again, it could have been just his health was declining and nothing had to do with him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, to me, it's just sad because 63 years of age for someone to go is just way too soon, man. And you know, and I feel for the children of Donna and Bobby. You know, like to lose both parents in a span of 2 months. You know, that would be heartbreaking, man. Like fortunately, both my parents are still with us. You know, I can only imagine how traumatic that would be for the children, and if they had, you know, their children had children, that'd be just as traumatic for them as well.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just sad how we always talk about wrestlers die in three. You know, first it was Paul Orndorff, now it's Beautiful Bobby, now just recently Dominic DeNucci passed away. I mean, it's just these legends, and the reason why it's just sad is because when you grow up with these individuals as one of your role models, also the fact that you know that's all you have embedded in your brain, that you think your heroes are always going to live forever. Then when they pass away, it's just very heartbreaking because then you know that they're just mortal, you know, and everybody dies, and we have to accept that. But still, it's hard to take them off that platform because you always think they're going to be around forever. You know, look at Ric Flair, man. I don't want, if he dies, it's going to be like, oh man, fuck, Ric Flair dies. You know, you're legend. You know, no more woo, no more. All you're going to
He
see is
came close
videos.
not too long ago, man.
I know, but that's the thing. That's just the fear itself in regards to people that you admire, people that you just again, you watch them all the time. You're so used to them being in your world that it's hard to picture them without picture them not being in it, basically. But what's your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Amazing performer. Incredible performer. A guy that I really wish that I had the opportunity in meeting or speaking with. that's how I feel. Like I really feel like I would have loved to have had a chance to meet him. You did get to meet him and have interactions with him. My heart goes out to the family, losing someone, like losing your father and then, like losing your mother 2 months before that as well. So to be all honesty, like my heart just goes out to the family for the recent loss. And also for, to Bill Dundee as well, who lost his daughter and his son-in-law, so close together as well, which would be traumatic for the family.
No, and I agree 100%. Especially, I mean, it's like you said, when you lose two parents in a row, I mean, that's a financial strain as well. Unless you have your ducks in a row, that's definitely, because if your parent dies and one parent dies, you have to bring up the money, bury them, and then you're like, oh, okay. And then the other one dies, then that's just a very hard thing to lose a parent. Also financially, it's very stressful. My final thoughts in regards to Bobby Eaton, one of the greatest technicians out there. He's to be greatly missed. I'm happy I met him like 3 times. Every time was a pleasure. My condolences to him and his family. But he will live forever in videos, WWE Network. I mean, the guy is immortal, and you'll never miss a beat when you watch his matches. But again, still, he'll be greatly missed. Here at Wrestle with Tragedy, we hate doing these type of shows because I don't like doing these shows, but the show is needed to bring awareness in regards to these great legends and the tragedies that it brings. Even though it was not a tragedy, it was normal cause of death, but still, I hate
It allows us to do a celebration of life for someone as well.
Correct.
Man. Like our show doesn't
Absolutely.
necessarily have to be so dark and stuff. We can have a good conversation about a true legend of the business. And let me ask you this, WWE Hall of Fame, should he go in?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then I think it's sad that he had to wait till after he died. I mean, he should be put into the Hall of Fame. But let me remember, wasn't the Rock? No, they weren't. That's the Rock and Roll Express, and that's when Jim Cornette inducted them. That's why it's embedded in my brain. That's definitely should have been put in. They should have been put in there while he was alive. That should have been so. That's something that he should have had for his final, not final moments, but you know what I mean. It's good to have it. Why wait?
Yeah,
till you're
man.
gone?
I completely agree with you, man. It should have happened years earlier, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I think you'll go in, but maybe in the next round. But
I think it'll be next year.
I think it'd be good for his children.
Absolutely.
To let them because I think his children were born in the 80s, 81, 86, and 88. So you know what I mean? Like they probably would remember him of maybe his tail end of his career. Like I said, it's hard to really tell what people remember, especially when you haven't spoken to him. But I think it's good that there's at least the WWE network, so they can at least show that their children and their children's children exactly who their father was.
Yeah, and you know what? Since before, I just want to say this. I know Pierce is chipping at the bit because he's drinking Smart Cup. This guy can't keep his mouth shut. After he drinks this, the guy's just rattling and rattling because we're past our mark. We don't want to get in trouble. But definitely look at him drinking at smartcups.com. Definitely benefit from there. Definitely tell them the Kingpin sent you. Kingpin approved. You won't go wrong. Natural, no preservatives, no hard crash. Definitely check out smartcups.com. You won't regret it. And also, definitely other affiliate as well is the MWM. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'll let you do it because I'm getting tongue-tied. It's still early in the morning.
The Wrestling Universe is our other sponsor, which is your one-stop shop for all your pro wrestling merchandise, guys. So whatever you're looking for, they've got action figures, WWE, TNA, UFC, AEW, past and present, ECW ones as well. Can't forget about ECW. They've got T-shirts. They've got 8x10, autographed 8x10s. They've got belts, masks, much, much, much more. And guys, all of their items come with a certificate of authenticity. And guys, if you live internationally, don't worry because the Wrestling Universe has got you covered, baby. Yeah, they ship internationally and they can ship anywhere in the world. So yeah, let's head over, check out thewrestlinguniverse.com, check out smartcups.com. And Angel, it's always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Until next time.
Wait, before you hit that dial, man, we definitely got to give a shout out to the Realm channel. If you want to get your fix on the Kingpin, some more Kingpin, more Pierce Austin, and also other, definitely check out the Realm channel. We definitely got some new shows out there. We're pushing you guys over there
Podcast Network, baby.
That's why I was like tripping on my tongue. It's too early. But MWA Podcast Network, definitely, you won't regret it. Please head over there because you're definitely going to get a lot of wrestling content with all these other shows, including myself, Kiwi Alan Funk, and Pierce Austin, and of course other guys as well. It's just the show is short, so we have to keep it in the timeline. So it is I, the Kingpin, along with Pierce Austin. You want to close it off?
That's it. We are the Russo brand crack investigation unit. You can catch us everywhere, every week on patreon.com/RussoTWC. You can find us on all your podcasting platforms and on YouTube. Till next week, peace out.
This is Vince Russo's The Brand.